Hello. Hello, good morning and welcome. For me, it's a pleasure to welcome you here to Casa Árabe and to open this 6th International Pedagogical Congress of the European Association of Creative Writing Programs. I think of this Congress as an act of resistance, and I'm going to explain you very briefly why. We live in a culture of distraction, and in this culture of distraction, writing and reading, which are both sides of a coin, which are in fact the same thing, are different ways to be attentive. Writing is to be attentive to the world, and reading is to be attentive to the world. And I want to tell you the story of a character of the 1001 Nights book that is a main character. In fact, it's Shahryar, the king, but he hasn't been paid much attention, and I think it's very interesting for these opening remarks. King Shahryar, as you know, he suffers. His wife is deceitful to him, and he decides to kill her lover, and he decides as well to kill every day, to marry, which in fact it means to rape a young girl every night, and then to kill her in the morning. And this happens in his kingdom until there are almost no young ladies left, because all of them have been killed. And the daughter of the prime minister of the king says to his father, "I want to go and marry the king and stop this annihilation of women." And the father disagrees, of course, but she's very persuasive. She tells a story to the father to persuade him, and off she goes to marry the king. And when she starts telling telling her stories, in the first night, there is in the story she tells the first night, there is, I think, the key to this, to the meaning of the 1001 Nights. And I want to quote it. It is my book in Spanish, but I will try to translate. One of the characters of this first night story says, "Your story is so wonderful that if it were written with a needle in the inside angle of one eye, it would be a reason to reflect for that one who knows how to reflect properly." This means when the stories get written in our eyes, it means that they change our vision of the world. And this is actually what happens to Shahryar, to the king, who is a man cruel. He's a cruel man. He takes revenge. He's authoritarian. I mean, he doesn't have many virtues when the story starts. But at the end, after 1001 Nights, he has changed, actually. This book tells us about the transformational power of stories and the civilizatory power of stories, how the telling of stories, when one reads them or listens to them properly, can change our vision of the world and can make a cruel and authoritarian king a good person, to say it briefly. And this is why I think this is an act of resistance, because we are actually advocating in this Congress, and we will be these 3 days defending the value of stories as a way of looking at the world without being distracted by all these images we are flooded around all the time. And that's the reason why I, as a director of Casa Árabe, this beautiful building that today hosts this meeting, I am so happy to welcome you here. I will be doing my best efforts to join you in your workshops and conferences as much as I can. And I want to express also how thankful we are to the Escuela de Escritores and to Javier Sagarna. I want to congratulate you as well for your 20 years in which you have built this space that is a reference for writers in Spain and especially in all the Spanish-speaking world. I want to thank him because he gave us the opportunity to Casa Árabe to host this meeting and to participate and to make Casa Árabe these 3 days the heart of creative writing of the whole of Europe, which for us is a reason of pride. I also want to thank Maria José Galvez, the General Director of Book in the Spanish Ministry of Culture. You are always, wherever we are talking of books and writers, you're always there, and it's really very helpful. Maria José, thank you very much, always for your support. And that's it. Now I'm going to give the floor to Javier Sagarna, who is also going to welcome you. I hope you enjoy these days as much as we have enjoyed preparing it all for you. Thank you very much.
Hello. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the conference. Welcome to Madrid. Welcome to Casa Árabe. Thank you very much, Irene, for opening this house for us. Thank you very much, Maria José Galvez, for being here, for accompanying us, and well, being with us in this very important moment for us, the 6th conference of the EACWP. And thank you to our president, Frank Basseler. That we are here also because of his work and the work of everyone that plays a role in the European Association of Creative Writing Programs. It's really great to see you all here, to see you probably, and trying to count, probably we have here about 20 or 25 countries represented, by different people, different ways of understanding creative writing teaching. So well, it's a real pleasure, It's a real pleasure to be here to start this conference, and well, we have 3 days, 3 great days to enjoy, to really learn one from the others. We have made it together a great program which is made of all your contributions, So I think we have a great program here. And we are going to enjoy a lot, and we're going also to network. We are going also to make friends, and we are going probably also to sing at the end of this. You'll see. Then, well, this conference is organized in the context of the 20th anniversary of Escuela de Escritores. We are really proud of what we have done, from this very little school that started 20 years ago. I remember with 8 students, really, that was our first start. And now where we are a big school, we have about 2,000 students a year. Well, things are going very well, and we have all these European friends, all around the world that we are really, really happy to have. As all the rest of the schools in Europe, we have nearly invented our way of teaching. we all of us with our influences, but we have invented a different way of doing it. And well, I think these conferences are really important, to put in common, to learn from one with each other and improve. So I'm very, very happy that that you are here. Mostly because we are about to have in the Spanish Parliament now they are discussing about a law of artistic teachings. And well, for the very first time, it looks like there is a possibility for creative writing to be recognized and as official discipline, and our teaching recognized as an official teaching. So we are really looking forward to it. We are really emotional, and well, have you all here is important support for us. So thank you very much, also for being here. And in the old Madrid de los Austrias, there is in one street, there is the wall one of these things that says things in the world. I don't remember the name. And there it's written something like, in this place, it was in the 16th century, the humanities school of José, what's, I don't want to say it wrong, Juan López de Hoyos, where the master Juan López de Hoyos teaches, and where Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra was a student. So important, like this is our teaching, no? And everyone, even a master as Cervantes has to learn and has to learn writing. So well, that's our mission, and that's why we are here. We are here to talk about this and to share. No? That's it. We have this. And yes, we have this program. We have this opportunity. We have these days for sharing. These days for making friends. These days for writing Europe together. I think this is something very important, no? Europe and the rest of the world, because we have here people from many other places, and that you are, of course, very welcome already. Well, I'm finishing for 13 years. I had the great honor of being the president of EACWP. But that changed yesterday, and it's to me a real pleasure to introduce you the actual president of EACWP, my dear friend Frank Casanova. Please.
Thank you, Javier. I want to welcome you on behalf of the, for me, impronounceable abbreviation EACWP. I call it the association, or our sister and brotherhood, or our secret syndicate, or our little village in Galicia. Before I welcome you, I want to introduce to you the general manager of the association, which is Lorena Brides. Organizing everything. If you have any questions, any doubts, also notes on which song to sing Saturday night, go to Lorena. She will help you. When we look at the program, I think you all have the program now. We can only say what a privilege to be here with so many brilliant teachers, writers, poets, students, representatives of schools from all over Europe, and as Javier already said, from other parts of the world. We have people also very welcome from Puerto Rico, for instance. Mara, welcome. And we are here, I think, and I hope, to inspire each other, to learn from each other, and to explore and question new and intriguing developments together. Teaching creative writing is a wonderful profession, as we all know. It allows us to be open to each other's wisdom, to the immense, inexhaustible beauty and complexity of the world, and to the hunger of our students to enrich and change the world with their writing. I quote my colleague Martino Gozzi from the Scuola Holden in Turin when he said, "Education is not about filling buckets, it's about lighting fires." And this is exactly what we try to do here, this conference. And I hope your fire will burn even greater after these days. Maya Angelou said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." I think this applies both to individuals and society. We, the writing schools, the writing teachers, we ensure that this agony is transformed into words and stories that bring us closer together, hopefully, and closer to the essence of the world. Writing is sharing human experiences. Our gathering here shows that the future of creative writing in Europe, and I hope also outside Europe, is bright. New programs are starting everywhere. And I think Javier was telling, he has now 2,000 students. We see an increase in students everywhere since the pandemic. I think in this troublesome times, we referred to it before, the growing need, desire, and the desire to write and share stories is, as far as I'm concerned, a very hopeful development. So while in America, the writers are on strike, and we support their struggle, here in Madrid, the next days, we will be working according to the motto of someone here in the room, our honorary member, Alain André from Paris, France, now living in La Rochelle on the coast, of course, when he said, and this is our motto, we know how to dream seriously. That's exactly what we're going to do. I wish you an unforgettable, stimulating, joyful days here at our pedagogical conference in 2022. And I now introduce to you María José Galvez, Directora General del Libro, el cómic y la lectura. Okay, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much to Casa Árabe, querida Irene, muchísimas gracias, to the European Association of Creative Writing Program and to the Escuela de Escritores for inviting us, for counting on the Spanish Ministry of Culture in order to be here today in this opening. It is my pleasure to participate here today because I think that the best way in order to do efficient public policies is to listen the people who these public policies are addressed to. So I think this is important to listen to you in the debates, ideas today and in the following days. We launched in the Spanish Ministry of Culture last year a plan in order to promoting reading. And in this promotion of reading, we have a challenge that is to dignify the creative writing, the literary creative writing. We thought, how can we achieve that? What can we do? So we started with 4 points in our strategy. Visibility. This is why it's so important conference like this, in order to have visibility in what you do and the importance of what you do. Dignity, to dignify the act of writing, and this is even more difficult to achieve. We have started in Spain what we call the Estatuto del Artista. What is this? It's not a cultural law. It's a law, some laws regarding what is important for people who is working in literature writing and in creativity in general in the cultural world. For example, social security, fiscality, paying of the taxes, things that we don't talk about because we are always talking about anything else regarding to culture, but it's important that you feel strong in your position in society, and this is why we have started with this Estatuto del Artista in order to have this right, this social right, these economical rights for writers in Spain, and we are having some advance. Recognition, social recognition. This is important, this dialogue between writers and society and readers. And I think here public policies are not so important. This is what you do. It's very moving to go to a book fair last week in Valencia, San Jordi in Barcelona some weeks ago, and to see the writers with the readers, and we think that this buying of books, this increase of reading standards in Spain and in Europe, we are not happy with the numbers, but we are happy that these numbers every year are better. So this is the recognition, and the best recognition is from the readers. And the other one is the promotion. And this is also my job. We are doing, I think, a very hard job in promotion Spanish writers, even here in Spain and in worldwide, because we have gone to Frankfurt Book Fair last year because Spain was guest of honor country. But at the beginning of the year, we were in Kolkata as guest of honor country, and now we are going for the first time to Comic-Con in San Diego, and to under the umbrella of the European Union, we are going to feel in Guadalajara. So this is important that our authors, our literature in Spanish and the other language that we speak in Spain travel, because it's the only way to stay with colleagues, with translators, with other publishers, and this is the only way that literatures can travel too. So this is what we are doing mainly in our abroad work. But here we are doing also, we are putting in contact writers with students. Why? Because we have no competencies in education in the Spanish Ministry of Culture, is another ministry. But what we are doing is to share the passion and the talent that you have with future writers. And what we do is a program. Almost every year we are having more than 300 writers in public high school here in Spain in order to explain to students your own book, your own way of living from writing. And this is a way of promoting reading, but as well of promoting future writers. Some weeks ago, we had here in Spain the most important award that we have in Spanish language, that is the Cervantes Award. And there's a poem from Rafael Cadenas. He's the writer. Is a poet from Venezuela. He has a poem that is Ars Poética, and I'm so sorry for my translation, que cada palabra lleve lo que dice. That each word carry on what really means. I think this is very difficult, and this is your job, and I hope that your achievement of that is the achievement of the society. So good luck, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing with all of us all your conclusions. Thank you very much.
We are going down. Yeah. Thank you.
I forgot to mention you.
No, don't worry. I will introduce you. So, as Javier mentioned before, after I think it was 13 years, right, Javier? 13 years. Javier was the president of the association, our secret syndicate. And he built this into something that is of enormous value to, I think, all the institutions involved. We do a lot of bilateral, multilateral projects, a lot of cooperations, teachers exchanges, student exchanges, etc., etc. And we started this association many, many years ago as a very, very small initiative. And now we have over 28 institutional members and a lot of individual members organizing these conferences and organizing teachers training courses that we do. We organize a flash fiction contest, all numerous things that that were built under the reign of Javier. Yesterday I was voted president, and I said goodbye to Javier as president, and I mentioned that there are 3 P's. And I don't mean peace like in the Black Eyed Peas or John Lennon's peace, but the letter P that that signify Javier. The first one is personal. I think Javier ruled this association and built this association with personal friendships, contacts. I think many of us are dear friends thanks to your involvement. The second P, of course, is politics. The politics for Javier is never far away, but politics for Javier is not what we see in the late, tired democracies around us. For him, it's like the ancient Greek politeia. Participation is more important than ruling, and that's what you brought to the association. And the last letter, P, of course, is the letter of punk. Javier is an old punk. We visited the dead Kennedys together. We were in the mosh pit. But he brought the stubbornness and the being autonomous and rowing against the current. It's something that Javier brought to our little village, and we cherish these values forever. And I would really like to invite you, Javier, to give your goodbye speech to all of us. But before you do, we start with an applause. Javier Sagarna.
Well, thank you very much to you all. Thank you very much, Frank. You have defined me well, I think. And well, I'm going to tell you a story. That's what I'm going to do now, no? And of course, it's the story of EACWP. When one is 13 years in the front of something like that, you get a trauma. So I have to try to share my trauma with you, no? And the lecture is called Serious Dreams. And of course, Alain André is guilty for that. No, he imagined this definition for what we were doing, and I think, well, you'll see that I think it describes very well what we are doing. Only sometimes a dream come true. As writers, we all need to have a fluid relationship with dreams, and we know that only some of them, very few, cross the barrier that separates the world of fantasy from the promised land of printed paper. To be achieved, a dream must be consistent, necessary, and one had to work in it with perseverance, trust in the process, and have a bit of luck and inspiration too. As crazy as it is, a dream must be serious. Then, sometimes, the story we dream, perhaps waking up in the morning or driving to work, will deserve the attention of drivers. Sometimes it happens, only sometimes. If we talk about a collective dream, things become even more complicated. Then it would be necessary that many people collaborate with enthusiasm, seriously, trusting, believing that the dream, even if it looks crazy and unlikely, worth the try. But most important is to do it with joy. Joy is the key because it leads to friendship, and friendship leads to success. In our literary context, individual dreams produce books, plays, podcasts, poems. Collective dreams, on the other hand, produces schools of writing, we all know. And only when those dreams get even bigger and crazier is when they produce creative writing program associations. The European Association of Creative Writing Programs was a collective dream, and today is a beautiful reality. Look at you here. No? See representatives of so many schools, institutions devoted to creative writing sitting in this auditorium makes me think that our beloved association is coming of age. That finally, after 13 years, there has been a change in the presidency and in the leading school, that's also very important, confirms, I think, its maturity. No? Who knows, maybe we are here in this conference, it's coming out party. That's why when I think today, that's why I think today is the day to devote a few minutes to remember the intricate path that brings us all us here. No? We have traveled a long way to be here and get back to it and review it. I think it would be very, very, very good if only to gain momentum and start running to the future again together. No? My good friend Angel Zapata always says that if a story, that a story in which crocodiles appear could never be boring. In our story, the story of EACWP, we don't have crocodiles, at least at the moment. Let's see. But we have but we can tell you about a catastrophe, a plague, and a monster. So I think it would be nice to hear. In this story, in addition, it appears people, lots of people, wise people, special people. We have also trips, songs, rivers, castles, spells, snowy steppes, and imperial cities. We have books, some of them magical. We have parties and water parties. And most important, we have dozens of beautiful languages and thousands of students who dream about writing and deserve that we seek new teaching horizons for them. There are also some friends who are no longer with us, but who will always live in our hearts. Basically, this is a story of friendship, the story the friendship that links many of us, and through us, links our schools, our students, and our languages. Friendship, after all, is the only tool we have for writing Europe. Of course, our story also has heroes, a handful of them. You will see. But let's start the story from the beginning. Imagine a beautiful spring afternoon in Prague. In a room of the fourth floor of a nice building in one of those neighborhoods where tourists don't go, a group of people gather around a long table, listen to a man who looks exactly like one would expect of a Jedi master. Very old, long hair, long beard, the hands tainted with chalk. He's filling every centimeter of a blackboard with words and arrows. Everyone around the table seems fascinated, and certainly the lecture that Risto Ati is finishing is really original and far from the conventional way of understanding literature, as well as deeply intelligent. Sitting in a corner, Reijo Virtanen, director of the writing program at the Javier College of Arts, up there in Finland, contemplates the scene like a peaceful white bear. He has brought Risto to Prague. Harriet Nachman and Ide Hinze of the Vienna Poetry School may not be too impressed either, as they have long collaborated with the Javier College of Arts and the University of Jyväskylä, have worked with them on the European Kalevala project, and they already know about the almost metaphysical depth of Risto's literary conception. In any case, they both listen concentrated, Ide under his wool cap, Harriet with her intelligent and calm charm. In the other side of the table, however, two Spaniards and a Chilean exchange astonished glances and try to understand, trying to decipher Risto Ati's difficult Finnish accent with their poor English. They are Muriel Villanueva from the Escola de Escritura del Ateneu Barcelonés, my partner, Daniel Saavedra, and myself. In research funded by the Ramon Llull Institute, our Catalan friends had discovered the existence of a small network of writing schools that meets in Prague every year, and we have traveled to meet distant people of the north. The audience completed with a few Czech students, another Finnish giant with long beards and a red beret, whose name, Harris Van Maki, is as curious as his theater improvisation classes, and at the head of the table, Daniel Soukup, the first hero of this story. Young, tall, looking like a clueless intellectual, Daniel has been fighting for 3 years to keep together the European Network of Creative Writing Programs. Since it was founded in 2005, following the Conference of Creative Writing Programs organized by the University of Leipzig, the network has gradually lost its members. Only Schoolie für Dichtung, the Javier College of Art, and the Joseph Zworecki Literary Academy, where Daniel Soukup is a teacher, attend now the meetings and struggle to work together. The sun sets into the Moldava when Risto talk ends. We applaud, and before closing the meeting, Daniel Soukup informed us, Spanish travelers, that our schools have been accepted as members of the network and summons us all back to Prague the following year. We spent the evening in a restaurant of St. Wenceslaus Square, drinking beer and chatting with Ide Hinze about acoustic poetry and electronic music, listening to his talk about the immolation of Jan Palach in front of the Russian tanks in 1968 and the shock it was for his generation, knowing about Ide's search for a universal word for peace. He wanted to record it in all the languages of the world. Of course, he already has it recorded in Spanish, but my colleagues let him Let him film them pronouncing that word in Catalan and in Mapuche languages. Fascinated by the energy and the ideas of Ide, a still young man around 50 years old, we can't suspect that we will never see him again. Of course, we returned to Prague the following year, and we don't come back alone. Muriel, the Catalan heroine of this story, has invited Lea and Diorio from Escuela Holden and Alain André from Aleph Écriture to join us. Ide is not there, but Harriet, Daniel, and Rayo are. Suddenly, the meeting looks like a little more like the map of Europe. Suddenly, more people stay for beers and get lost in late-night conversations, imagining possible collaborations. Suddenly, in an old bar in Prague, someone, Rayo, says the word Erasmus. Actually, it was not Erasmus, but Grundtvig, the former project for adult education of the European Union that was integrated lately in Erasmus+. But its meaning was the same: the possibility of obtaining funds to finance common projects to finally start working together. That was important because in those first conversations, we had already discovered the enormous differences that existed between our respective ways of understanding creative writing teaching. As in many aspects, the Europe of creative writing was built in pieces. Each school in each country had built their own method, mixing their national traditions and the various influences, the United States, Latin America, even the Soviet world in that moment, that any of us had received. We were, and we still are and will be, diverse. And our methodologies cover such a broad spectrum that, in words of Alain André, again, they ranged from social constructivism to shamanism. And as each way of understanding and teaching worked well in our countries, we confirm that we all have a lot to learn. Much to learn and much to teach, the ideal conditions for a rich exchange. Having English as the lingua franca allowed us not only to overcome language barriers, but also to keep our beautiful mother tongues for sensitive creation and expression. Teaching in English and let our students to create their national languages, a language for understanding and dozens of them for art. Was not easy, but it could work. Imagine dozens of teachers and students traveling Europe from side to side to teach and learn in other schools. Seems so exciting that we had no choice but to order another beer. So we made our planning. The following year in Barcelona, we would refound the network as an association to underline the links, that the links would be closer. Meanwhile, in Madrid, Turin, Paris, Vienna, or Finland, we will explore the possibilities offered by European grants. Projects such as urban storytelling or Merdin Plot, led by Escuela Holden, Simone, emerged. Also, Fundamentals of Poetry, led by Escuela de Escritores, intended to put together all our schools in the same project. And then it happened, the catastrophe. A weird-named volcano erupted in Iceland, and all the flights in Europe were cancelled just in the dates scheduled for the founding symposium. The event was prepared, the status written, but nobody in Europe could fly. Only a representation of Escuela de Escritores, which arrived by train to Barcelona, and our Argentinian colleagues from Casa de Letras walked along the Ramblas that St. Jordi's Day in 2010. Yes, I have said Argentinians. Our broad concept of Europe allows us to, an Argentinian school to be one of our founding members of EACWP. We always had it clear: never let geography to spoil a beautiful friendship and a good collaboration. It was a dark moment, not only because of the dense clouds of us that cover the European continent in those days. For a moment, we came to doubt whether we could go on. But we found a way. A few months later, in September 2010, the symposium took place in Madrid. We finally founded the association with the Escuela de Escritores as the leading school, and the exchanges that had begun that very summer with the visit of students from 4 different schools to Turin for the urban storytelling project accelerated with the first creative writing conference in Finland in November of that year. Many of you would remember, I think. New heroes emerged. My dear friend, Reijo Virtanen, who put his precious Orivesi College of Arts at the service of EACWP and brought us together to Finland in winters and summers, among frozen lakes and green forests, in eternal nights and days that never end, always near a sauna, a karaoke, and that wooden cabin full of books in his garden, where evenings flowed slowly with a good wine and better conversation. Simone Fenoil, the black-hatted man, now is the long-haired man, has changed. From the castle guarded by dragons of Escuela Holden, imagine one project after another and explain to all of us the access to European funds. Amparo Seijo, who carried out Fundamentals of Poetry, a key project in the development of the association. 7 schools, 7 teachers, students from 6 different countries together in a poetry course that combined theory and practice, online teaching with travels and meetings in Madrid and Finland. Austrian teachers taught in Madrid and Italian teachers did so in Finland. The rest of us taught our classes online. Working together in that project was not easy. It was near to disaster. It was really complicated. I remember how many problems we had to deal with it, but solving them, we learned how to work together. And more important than that, this project made us friends. From that moment on, traveling to EACWP symposiums and conferences was no more attending to a work meeting. It was much more like meeting the European friends. We always know that we were going to work hard in planning collaborations and exchanges and get lost in exhausting and sometimes difficult conversations about every step forward of the association. But we also know that we are going to have a real good time. One of the decisions we made this morning, in the symposium, has been to prepare a new Fundamentals of Poetry, a new project that put us together, put the most schools possible together, in a project that is, of course, would be a learning opportunity for the participants, but must also be the key for reinforce our links, reinforce our friendship, and open the door to the future. Once again, after all these years of exchanges, we are dreaming about dozens of students and teachers traveling through Europe, this time by train. Now it's no longer new or strange to see an Austrian teacher in Madrid or a Spanish one in the Netherlands. Our bilateral exchanges even involve entire groups of students, and new projects are focused on the creation of common European programs. But we need a new multilateral project to reinforce our links. Now, when EACWP has become big and it's about growing more, sounds sensible that future feeds on the past as a way of preserving the essence of our association. We'll have to have a beer later to celebrate this great idea. After meeting the ancient Escuela Holden, in the ancient Escuela Holden on Via Dante, just a few steps from the River Po, having a new conference in Paris on the banks of the Seine in Aleph Écriture, and a beautiful symposium in Vienna on the shore of the Danube in the School for Dictum, our meetings became regular. A symposium every year, a biannual conference, soon also a creative writing teachers training course. They took place at the beginning of every July, first in France, following the footsteps of Georges Perec in the beautiful Moulin d'Andé, Later in Belgium, in the amazing Aldenbissen Castle. In each edition, more than 20 creative writing teachers from all over Europe met and listened to the lessons of 3 experienced teachers from three different European schools in a week of shared experiences and knowledge exchange. The success of this initiative, which is urgent to restart, was due to a large extent to the work ambition of Louis Muller and Eric Van Gee. Sorry. In addition, to promote creative writing all over Europe, we imagine a multilingual literary contest, our literary Eurovision. The Flash Fiction Contest is becoming popular and receives more than 1,000 micro-stories every year in 11 different European languages. During one of our annual meetings, Alain André, always Alain André, suggested that the slogan for EACWP, you have said it, Frank, could be, we know how to dream seriously. And it's exactly that, dreaming and taking our dreams seriously, what we have been doing during all these years. Our 8 founding members had grown to 29 institutional members, 4 of them non-European and also 41 individual members. We also have a close relationship with NAWE, the National Association of Writers in Education in the UK, that allows mutual membership and frequent attendance to our respective events and have led to numerous exchanges between the members of both associations. During this time, 3 multilateral artistic projects have been organized and many more attempted. 9 creative writing teachers training courses had taken place, 2 in France, 1 in Belgium, and 6 online. And we have summoned 6 Flash Fiction contests. Our activity has fostered countless bilateral exchanges, as well as other projects in which some members of the association participate, such as CELA, Connecting Emerging Literary Artists, imagined and led by Frank Tasseler. Likewise, EACWP has organized 14 symposiums and 7 pedagogical conferences, if we count the first one organized by the Orivesi College of Arts. That is not in the official count, but it was one. Each one in a different European city. New and old heroes made each of these meetings possible. Alain André and Louis Muller every time we met in Paris, Reijo Virtanen and Ristoniemi Pintari in Finland, Martino Gozzi and Simone Fenoil in Turin, Harriet Nachman and Fritz Ostermeyer in Vienna, Eric Van Gee and Lenders in Brussels, Pau Pérez, Anna Gerberov and Franco Chiarabalotti in Barcelona, Frank Tasseler and Monique Guarnier in the Netherlands, and above all of them, our dear Lorena Briedis, General Manager of the EACWP, the woman with the bird on her head. Many of you know what I'm talking about. During all these years, Lorena has been the soul of the association and the person who solves the uncountable practical details of the great dreams that the rest of us allowed ourselves to have. She has organized, summoned, gathered, and finally carried out and reported each contest, each training course, and each event. With the help of the team of Escuela de Escritores, she keeps the website alive, sends the newsletters, communicates with the board, and tells Carmen Quintana or Humberto Franco what has to be published in our social networks. Also, she's an amazing singer. A storm of feeling when in one of our open mic celebrations, she sings very slowly and with her deep voice, Cucurrucucu Paloma. In public relations and sympathy, you will see she's simply the best. So contact Lorena. If there is a heroine who deserves an applause for her work for the association, she is Lorena. Please. So much activity portrays an active and lively association that is achieving the goal of connecting the main schools of creative writing in Europe. Plans are underway, and next spring, Conceição Garcia will join our list of heroes by organizing the annual symposium in Lisbon. But being really important, work is only a part. The most important stuff, friendship, cannot be counted with numbers, but perhaps I can try with a series of messy images that I will never forget. Frank Tasseler and Monique Warnier arriving by bike in 2015, the symposium, the EACWP symposium, so difficult, a symposium in Madrid. The packed NAWE conference hall in Bristol, where Mariana Torres and I were so kindly invited to put aside the exhaustion of a longer than expected journey and introduce EACWP during the opening ceremony. Paul Munder, playing like a child in an excellent workshop at NAWE conference. Risto Ati in Madrid, pointing to a tree about to bloom and saying, "Spring is coming." A sentence that was important in one of the most difficult moments of my life. My birthday song sung in Finnish in an Irish pub in the old town of Madrid. Martino Gozzi, presenting the new Scuola Holden program on a dark afternoon winter, on a dark winter afternoon in Finland, and all the Italian team, Simone, Gianluca, preparing pasta afterwards. Lucian Georgescu introducing Cinepub and the new Romanian cinema and having a beer with me later. The joy of jumping naked into the snow after a delicious sauna session. I remember us all singing partisan songs around a table in the Sateliers d'Elisabeth Bing in Paris, on the last night of a symposium, and the three old men, Alain, Reyo, and I, seeing the changes coming from the head of a table full of beers, women, and young people under the Finnish midnight sun. A glorious afternoon of balcony poetry in Vienna, declaiming out loud and inviting the passers-by of Mare Hilfer to shout "Viva la Poesía." The great show of Lorena Briedis and Luis Muller singing Chabela Vargas' song in any party night in any city of Europe. Reyo reading aloud fragments of Don Quixote and poems by Góngora in Spanish, while I read in Finnish some chants from the Kalevala. Can you imagine? Daniel Sokuk masterfully playing the piano. The crazy night that the Alpini took touring. Reyo and Risto Niemi Pintari singing a bizarre Finnish tango, and by their side, Orhan Kipchak prepared to sing Lili Marlene. Pau Pérez and I singing and dancing La Zarzamora in Barcelona. I remember Marianne Giclet, Seraphima Kennedy, Gail Barnes, Aude Lafay, Helen Gilboy, Monica Crespo, John Vigna talking us about the original system of correcting the corrections they have developed up there in Vancouver University. Helena Blakemore encouraging us to travel to Bristol for the NAWE conference. Fritz Ostermeyer proclaiming with Groucho Marx that Inside the Dog is probably too dark to read. I remember, and I know I'm forgetting a lot of people. Sorry for this, the ones who are not mentioned. I also can imagine the faces of Frank, Monica, and Lucian when my dear partner, Germán Solís, told them after the goodbye dinner at the symposium in Madrid in 2015, if the night gets complicated, you can always sleep on my sofa. And it got. And I will never, ever forget that last night in Brussels, drinking Belgian beer with Frank and Reyo, who was a wounded polar bear at that time. There's a lot of Reyo in my memories, and so I think everyone, all of us, miss him a lot. On the top of the grand central staircase of Escuela Holden, the last sentence of the Catcher of the Rye is written on the wall. It's funny. Don't tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody. And that was always happened. Well, a catastrophe, a plague, and a monster, I said. In the first months of the 2020, the plague arrived. The COVID-19 pandemic caused everything to wobble and could have spoiled everything. In some way, we are still recovering from that blow. An association based on exchange, friendship, and personal contact was very vulnerable to this enemy. Once again, being together saved us. Several years before, Alain André had mentioned a video conferencing application called Zoom, and we had come to use it very occasionally for the EACWP board meetings. That fortunate circumstance saved many of our schools and allowed EACWP to know from day one what the path was. Resist, wait, and in the meanwhile, move our activity to the internet, Zoom. Even so, during that dark period, we lost contact and locked ourselves in our safe bubbles, and only the excellent work of Lorena Briedis, with the support of Mariana Torres and the IT team of the Escuela de Escritores, allowed the training courses to go online and kept the EACWP alive, although hibernated. At this critical moment, the work of Andrea Holland was also essential. Together with East Anglia University, she organized online and made a success of the 5th Pedagogical Conference at the most difficult moment. With justice, we can consider her also another heroine of this story. Waking up the association from the lethargy in which COVID plunged it has not been a small job. After 3 years, 2 canceled symposiums, an online conference, and a lot of distance between us, we finally met in Arnhem last October in the impressive premises of Artes, the University of the Arts of the Netherlands. We debated again, we imagined project again, we laughed, we ate and sang together again, this time in the second floor of a beautiful bookstore. It was the symposium of the resurrection, and this conference must be the one for the future. Sometimes, I said, only sometimes, dreams come true, and after the heroic beginnings comes the time for peace and prosperity. But we cannot relax. We have a solid association based on friendship and dialogue, on collaboration and exchange of ideas, methodologies, teachers and students. An association that allows us to create common projects, new dreams to keep Europe writing long stories and beautiful poems in this time that seems to have only place for slogans and the blow on the table or even in the head. Writing today is a revolutionary act. Even more, it is likely that machines will soon be able to do it for us. A rebellion of intelligence and sensitivity against single thought and foolishness. The work of literary schools is to create thousands of these rebels who, like Ray Bradbury's book People, preserve the power of words and are not afraid to use them to continue searching in the human soul, which is the right and the duty of literature. We are facing the third and the biggest threat, the monster, the rebirth of fascism, the return of Puritanism, the new golden age of intolerance, and the apparently unstoppable resurgence of censorship. Each one of our small schools and institutions is by itself a cry that demands a future of freedom, creativity, and brotherhood and real life. Together, associated in this EACWP, in which fits Europe and also the rest of the schools in the world, we are a clamor that will be unleashed in this conference as soon as we begin to share our different ways of working, to forge alliance and to dream projects together. In 2012, it was the anniversary of the School for Dictum, and the EACWP symposium took place in Vienna. I was looking forward to it as a great opportunity to meet Ide Hintze again, whose intelligence and vitality had fascinated me in Prague. However, Ide died just a few weeks before. Thus, the central act of that meeting became a beautiful tribute to Ide, of which I remember with special affection, that we read a poem by Sappho in 8 or 10 different languages, and I did the Spanish part. At the end of the act, while we were leaving the theater, an insidious melody sounded, and on one of the walls, the motto that Allen Ginsberg bequeathed to the Vienna Poetry Schools was projected in light letters. The International Crazy Wisdom Poetry School will save the human race, Bam Parada. I remember perfectly. No? Well, that was another dream, maybe naive, but surely necessary. If we consider that our job is to guide people through the paths of writing, art, and sensitivity, putting them in contact so that they can meet, collaborate, become friends, and create together, perhaps we should take it seriously. Many things have changed in these 13 years. We still don't have crocodiles, but the Joseph Zvorecki Literary Academy that hosted our first meeting no longer exists, and Daniel Soukup sends us greetings from a non-teaching position in another university. Escuela de Escritores celebrates its 20th anniversary, and in Spain, writing is one step away from being officially recognized as an artistic discipline. New people and new schools are joining the association from Berlin, Puerto Rico, Norway, or El Paso. Projects like SILA are multiplying contacts between emerging European writers, and Brexit is an obstacle that we will not allow to separate us from our British friends. No one should be surprised then that the time has come for a change in the presidency. It has been a great pleasure and an honor to guide the ship during these first 13 years of Guayas. I live happy with the work done, and I decided to continue working for the association from my new position in the board. A great captain, my dear friend Frank Tasselar, is now in command, and I'm sure the best is just to come. Let's keep dreaming with ambition and seriousness to build the new creative writing programs for the future of Europe, and, my friends, let's do it together. Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you very much to you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, Frank, please come and start the conference.
I start the conference by announcing lunch. So have a good days all together. Hope to see you. Visit each other's lectures and workshops. Enjoy and enrich yourself. See you around.